There are several reasons why solar panels might not be suitable for your home, such as having little to no roof space to make it worth it, poor roof condition, planning permission restrictions, shading, or their cost, to name a few. But that doesn't mean that you need to be left out of the act of getting one over your energy supplier. Home battery prices have been falling for several years now, and if you live in the UK, you'll pay 0% VAT on a battery-only installation, as it was removed in February 2024. In this video, I'm going to explore if this is the year that you should seriously consider getting battery storage installed in your home. This video is brought to you by IVoltz. Our solar and battery system installed by IVoltz has helped us significantly reduce our electricity consumption by over 2,000 kilowatt hours. More on IVoltz later in the video. Home storage batteries are important in the UK for several reasons, as they offer a range of benefits to homeowners and the broader energy system. Typically, home storage batteries have been used to allow the homeowner to store excess energy generated from renewable sources like solar panels or wind turbines. But battery storage solutions can also be used in isolation without the need for these renewables, instead charging solely from the grid. This stored energy can then be used during periods of high demand, reducing reliance on the grid and making households more self-sufficient in terms of energy production. They also provide backup power during grid outages or emergencies. This is especially crucial in the UK, where extreme weather events such as storms can disrupt power supply, and we all know we seem to be having one every other week now. Having a reliable backup can ensure that your essential home appliances and systems continue to operate. Even more important if you're a business owner or you work from home. Furthermore, home battery storage can help stabilise and support the electrical grid. Home batteries also improve the overall efficiency of an energy system. If you're on a variable time of use tariff, you can charge your battery using off-peak, cheaper rate electricity, and then discharge that electricity to use during the day, when electricity rates are typically more expensive. Batteries charged from the grid off-peak, when electricity is typically generated by renewable sources, help reduce carbon emissions too. This aligns with the UK's commitment to achieving net zero emissions by 2050. The UK government has recently announced the removal of VAT on battery storage installation to encourage their adoption, making them more financially accessible for homeowners, and I'll run through some of the figures on whether it will make it financially viable for you later in the video. So now we know why we need them. How do they exactly work? Home batteries can be charged in one of two ways. Firstly, and probably most commonly, battery storage can be combined with solar panels, capturing any excess solar generation. The electric current produced by the solar panels is in the form of direct current, DC. However, most household appliances and the electrical grid operate on alternating current, AC. The DC electricity is sent to a solar inverter, which converts it into AC electricity suitable for powering your home or business. The AC electricity can be used to fulfill your consumption needs at that time. But what happens if you can't consume all of that glorious solar energy immediately? For example, you're away at work during the day. Rather than exporting excess solar energy to the grid and getting paid typically less than you'd pay to import this electricity, a battery storage solution allows you to store it as DC electricity and then convert it back to AC electricity for later use, maximising self-consumption and reducing reliance on the grid. Any electricity not immediately consumed can be sent back to the grid or exported for others to use, earning you a payment through an export tariff offered by your energy provider of choice. I'll go through some of the options I use later in the video. Alternatively, if you have a battery-only system, i.e. without any solar panels, it can be charged directly from the grid with AC electricity, using an off-peak tariff, which is typically overnight, and then converted to DC electricity to be stored into the battery. This can then be used throughout the day, reducing the need for expensive peak rate electricity. But with that many batteries to choose from, how can you make sure that you get the right one for your home? Before we jump into this section, 87% of people who watch my videos are not yet subscribed, which is really high. If you're one of those 87%, then please do me a favour and click the subscribe button with notifications. It helps keep me motivated in creating content for you for free and keeps the channel going. So thank you. Selecting the right home battery storage system involves considering various factors to ensure it meets your specific needs and integrates well with your existing setup. To avoid any doubt, I'll be referring to lithium-ion batteries in this video. Here are some key factors to consider. Battery capacity. This is the big one and probably the thing that people spend the most time thinking about in terms of how big should I go. I would start by determining your household's average daily electricity consumption in kilowatt hours. This will help you choose a battery with an appropriate capacity to meet your needs. Consider what you're trying to achieve. Do you want to only cover essential loads during power outages, or are you aiming to reduce your dependency on the grid? Be aware it's very difficult to be completely independent from the grid. A more realistic approach would be to work out how much electricity you use during the day or peak times when electricity rates are typically higher. Then times that figure by 1.2, and that's how much battery capacity you should aim to purchase. For example, on average we use around 6 kilowatt hours of electricity during the day at peak rates, and around 8 kilowatt hours off peak charging our plug-in hybrid electric vehicle or PHEV. So for us, 6 kilowatt hours times 1.2 equals 7.2 kilowatt hours. So we purchased an 8.2 kilowatt hour battery, as this was the nearest battery capacity size to achieve this goal. Electric vehicle charging can easily be moved to the off-peak period for most people, and it makes very little sense in my opinion to charge your car battery from your home battery. So essentially any EV charging can be left out of the equation. Discharging power. A battery inverter with a high output, measured in kilowatts, can support larger loads simultaneously. For example, if you have an oven which draws around 2 kilowatts and then turn on a kettle which draws near 3 kilowatts, you can see that would add up to 5 kilowatts, leaving you with a 2 kilowatt shortfall, even if you have plenty of energy in your battery, which will need to be picked up by, yes you guessed it, the grid. But this isn't to say that a 3 kilowatt output won't suit you. If you're a retired couple who don't have many high consuming items which are going to be on all at the same time, then a 3 kilowatt battery inverter may well be fine for you. Furthermore, it might just be that your high consuming items are running for a short space of time, and you may just want to accept that you'll draw a little bit of grid electricity. However, with the uptake of electric vehicles and heat pumps, it's certainly sensible choosing a higher output that will cover these increasing needs. Find a balance that suits your needs and goals. Just a note, with an inverter above 3.68 kilowatts in the UK, your inverter will need to apply for G99 approval. Charging power. Like the power output, it's important to consider how quickly you can charge your battery. If you plan to use off-peak electricity to charge your batteries, make sure you choose a system that can be fully charged within the off-peak hours. For example, an 8.2 kilowatt hour battery with a 3 kilowatt inverter could be easily charged fully within 3 hours. Depth of discharge. The depth of discharge, or DOD, indicates the percentage of the battery that can be fully charged relative to the overall capacity of the battery. For example, a 5.2 kilowatt hour battery with an 80% depth of discharge would only be able to discharge 4.16 kilowatt hours. In other words, its usable capacity is only 4.16 kilowatt hours. That reserve is there to offer some protection to the life of the battery, but more and more batteries are available with 100% depth of discharge. Warranties. As with any big ticket item, you'd expect your battery to come with a warranty. They will vary by manufacturer, but most big manufacturers will offer at least a 10-year warranty. GiveEnergy have stuck their necks out a little bit further, and all residential battery storage systems, that includes the inverter, fitted as of the 11th of September 2023, now come with a 12-year warranty. Just be aware of the terms and conditions which may surround your warranty. Generally, longer warranties often indicate the manufacturer's confidence in the product's durability and performance. GiveEnergy's batteries come with unlimited battery cycles during this 12-year warranty period, but not all manufacturers do this, and some state the warranty covers a set number of cycles, typically 4,000 to 6,000 cycles, or 10 years, whichever comes first. But what does that mean exactly? Before I get into this, if you're getting some value out of this video, or even just learned something new, then please consider liking and subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. It really helps other people find us too. So, thank you. You complete one charge cycle when you've used, or discharged, an amount that equals 100% of your battery's capacity, but not necessarily all from one charge. For example, in the winter, I might use 100% of my 8.2 kWh battery, and this equals one charge. However, in the spring and summer, when solar is rife, I'll often only use 50% or 4.1 kWh of my battery's capacity in one day, then recharge it fully overnight. If I use 50% again the next day, I will have discharged a total of 100%, and the 2 days will add up to one charge cycle. Why is this relevant? Well, if you opt for a battery-only installation, you're likely to use one charge cycle per day. But even then, as long as your battery warranty covers you for the number of life cycles you expect to use, this will be fine. It's important to note that the battery isn't going to stop working when your warranty period runs out after X number of years, or you've gone past the number of cycles, although the battery is likely to have suffered from degradation. But what is battery degradation? Degradation refers to how well the battery can hold its charge over time. We're all familiar with the mobile phone that runs out of battery really quickly after a few years. That's degradation. For example, a 10 kWh home battery storage warranty might say 10 years with 20% degradation. That means if the battery stops working before 10 years is up, you'll get a new battery replaced under warranty for free. Furthermore, at the end of the 10-year period, the battery is guaranteed not to have lost more than 20% of its storage capacity. Essentially, it will act like an 8 kWh battery in the worst case scenario. If it loses more than 20% of its capacity, then you're entitled to a battery replacement under the warranty terms. And when the battery does come to the end of its life, most are fully recyclable. Installation. I'd suggest getting at least 3 quotes from MCS accredited installers. Speaking to installers will help shape the system that best meets your energy needs and objectives. Don't be afraid to ask questions, and if they seem disinterested or rushed even before they've secured your business, then things aren't going to get much better if things crop up during or after the installation. And choosing an installer that you trust is just as important as choosing the correct battery system. And this is a great time to tell you a bit more about IVoltz, who are the sponsors of today's video. Not being at home during the day meant we lost a lot of electricity back to the grid. Likewise, in the summer, we couldn't consume it quickly enough. IVoltz work with us to help shape our solar and battery system and meet our objectives, to reduce our carbon footprint, save money, and plan for our future energy needs whilst keeping within our budget. Their experience and knowledge in solar and battery storage was second to none, in particular explaining how we could charge the battery from both our old and new array without losing our fit, something a few companies I contacted said couldn't be done. This expertise and high quality service carried through into our install. An example of this being them grinding down the back of the tile for it to fit flush over the roof anchor, minimising the risk of water ingress. IVoltz are based in Doncaster but cover both domestic and commercial installations all across the UK and provide solutions for solar panels and battery storage, EV charging and heat pumps. They're also fully accredited. If you want to check out their latest offers for yourself, head to their website ivoltz.com. They've also offered a £200 referral bonus split between you and the channel if you go on to have an installation, and you can check out the referral code's quote in the video description box below. Thanks again to IVoltz for sponsoring this video and to all of you for supporting the channel. Where should your battery system go? This is something I've covered a number of times in previous videos, so won't go into vast details here. For most homeowners, the options are inside the home, outside the home, or in a garage or loft space. The key is to avoid overheating or freezing, although not everyone, including me, is lucky enough to have a plant room in their house. If you want to find out where I had my battery fitted and the thought process behind this, I'll leave a link to the installation video at the end. Maintenance. There usually isn't any for home battery storage systems. However, as we saw before with the GiveEnergy battery, certain checks may need to be carried out to preserve your warranty. So read your terms and conditions carefully and ensure that these are met so not to void the warranty period. Remote monitoring and updates. Choose a battery system that offers remote monitoring and control features. This allows you to track performance, optimize energy usage, receive alerts in case of issues, and can be then updated remotely. One of the most important things to consider for most homeowners before they spend a load of money on a home battery are the financials and whether it's worth it in the first place. In order to do this, it's important to evaluate the total cost of ownership, considering not just the upfront cost of the battery, but also installation, maintenance, and potential savings on your energy bills. But what does that actually mean for you in terms of numbers? In the UK, the average home uses 3,509 kilowatt-hours of electricity. If you've followed my solar and battery journey so far, you'll know that I love a spreadsheet. But for this, I'm just going to keep things simple. Assuming you're currently on a fixed single rate tariff like this one from OCTOPUS ENERGY, you might be paying around 26.67p per kilowatt hour of electricity. Over the year, your 3,509 kilowatt hours would cost you £935.85, excluding the standing charge. With a home battery, the aim of the game, as we've already said, is to store electricity in the battery when it is cheap and then use it during the day when your rate goes up. Your energy provider will often have a few different tariffs which will allow you to do this. As you'll know from my previous videos, I'm with OCTOPUS ENERGY, and the ones I'm going to refer to are tariffs they offer. And if you're thinking of joining Octopus Energy, don't forget our offer of an extra £20 from us on top of the £50 credit you get from Octopus Energy, and I'll drop a link in the video description box below to the Octopus referral. If you do choose to use our referral link, then thank you, it really does help keep the channel going. Just a note, no battery system will be 100% efficient in the storing and transfer of electricity, and so I'm going to factor in a 10% efficiency loss. Starting with the Octopus Agile tariff, this is a tariff where the price per kilowatt hour of electricity fluctuates every 30 minutes. Generally in the early hours of the morning, the rate will be cheaper, with the most expensive period seen between 4 and 7 PM, when the demand for electricity is at its highest. Looking at historical unit rate data for the past 12 months, you'll find that the average early morning rates are around 15p per kilowatt hour. Filling up the battery at these rates to use during the day would cost us around £526.35, or £578.99 considering efficiency losses, a saving of £356.86 compared to our baseline fixed tariff over the year. But what happens if you have an electric vehicle? There are plenty of offerings for electric vehicle tariffs with Octopus Energy. For this one, let's look at Octopus Go, for which the only prerequisite is having a car which you can charge, with no need for a specific car or charger, unlike the intelligent Octopus tariffs. On the Go tariff, you'll get 4 hours of off-peak electricity from 12:30 AM to 4:30 AM at 9p per kilowatt hour to charge your electric vehicle or plug-in hybrid vehicle or PHEV. But there's no reason why you can't fill up your home battery too at the same time. Filling up the battery at these rates to use during the day would cost us around £315.81, or £347.39 considering efficiency losses, a saving of £588.46 compared to our baseline fixed tariff over the year. But what does that mean for payback times? Looking at some of the offers on the IVoltz website, at the time of making this video, we could install a 9.5 kWh battery pack with a 3 kW AC coupled inverter for £4,380 with 0% VAT. On the Octopus Agile tariff, payback would be around 12.3 years, and on the Go tariff it would be much sooner, at 7.4 years. There are, however, additional ways you can make money, which I've covered in previous videos, but we'll touch on again now. One option would be to export your cheap electricity stored in your home battery storage at a time during the day when export payments are at their highest. Going back to our example of being on Octopus Agile, you could fill your home battery during these off-peak hours and then sell this same electricity for a premium, typically during the 4 to 7 PM peak period. Be aware that storing electricity from the grid makes this brown electricity, and some suppliers won't pay you for this, so read the terms and conditions of your export tariff carefully. In addition, when it's very windy and there's excess electricity in the grid, prices on Agile can go negative, and Octopus Energy will actually pay you to use electricity at these times. Another option which is featured in more recent times is making money via the National Grid's Demand Flexibility Service, or DFS, and is the start of a new chapter in energy consumption, where people get rewarded for the electricity they don't use at the busiest times of the day. More commonly known to Octopus Energy's customers as saving sessions, at times customers were being paid a massive £4 per kilowatt hour of saved or exported electricity. And there are already other ways emerging for your energy company to utilise your home storage battery to balance the grid and pay you for it. One such example is the intelligent Octopus Flux tariff. But how would you feel about your battery schedule being taken out of your hands? For me, personally, I'm not so sure, but it's certainly an option to consider. Earlier I suggested a payback of around 7 to 12 years for a battery system, depending on your numbers. But how long do batteries actually last? Well, that's a great question, and most data sources suggest around 10 to 15 years or more. But remember, just because your battery warranty or number of warranted cycles has been reached, it doesn't mean that it will just stop working. But what are the risks here? Well, there are a couple of big ones, the first being the most obvious. What happens if off-peak tariffs disappear? You'll essentially end up with a very nice piece of wall art, but how likely is it that off-peak tariffs will disappear? Off-peak electricity tariffs such as Economy 7, Economy 10 and others in the UK offer consumers lower rates during certain off-peak hours. These tariffs are designed to encourage energy usage at times when demand is lower, helping to balance the grid and allowing energy suppliers to offer electricity at a reduced rate. However, the future of off-peak tariffs in the UK could be influenced by several factors. The widespread adoption of smart meters has enabled more sophisticated time of use tariffs, which can offer variable pricing, more finely tuned to actual grid demand and supply conditions. As these become more common, traditional off-peak tariffs might evolve into more dynamic pricing models. The increasing uptake of renewable energy sources like wind and solar power into the energy mix could affect off-peak tariffs. Renewable energy's variable nature might create new off-peak periods when renewable generation is high but demand is low, potentially leading to changes in how off-peak tariffs are structured. Ongoing energy market reforms and regulatory changes could impact the availability and structure of off-peak tariffs. Any shifts towards decarbonising the energy grid and managing demand more efficiently could lead to new types of tariffs and incentives for consumers. Changes in electricity demand patterns, partially due to growth in electric vehicle ownership and home battery storage systems, might influence the use of off-peak tariffs. These technologies could alter the dynamics of supply and demand, potentially affecting the viability of off-peak tariffs. However, the number of households which have these are far outnumbered by the ones that don't. So, whilst I think it's unlikely that off-peak tariffs will disappear entirely in the near future, they may well evolve significantly. So we might see a shift towards more dynamic and complex pricing structures, similar to the ones that we see on Octopus Agile, that better reflect real-time energy market conditions and the goals of the energy policy, such as reducing carbon emissions and managing demand more effectively. The other risk is that energy prices come down, thereby pushing the potential payback time on your battery storage system further away. While the push towards renewable energy and technological advancements could exert downward pressure on prices, other factors like global demand and transition costs may push prices higher, and so predicting exact trends is difficult. In conclusion then, battery-only solutions are an increasingly viable and exciting option for homes with and even without attached renewables, helping to reduce electricity bills, carbon footprint, and provide backup power during power cuts. Battery-only systems can be charged off-peak from the grid, and this stored energy can then be used throughout the day, avoiding any peak rate electricity costs. There are several factors to consider when choosing the right battery storage option for your home, including the battery capacity, charge and discharge power, depth of the discharge, where it should be located, warranty periods, cycles, and degradation. Payback periods will vary depending on your annual electricity consumption, tariff you choose to go onto, and the price you paid for your system. Risks you'll need to be aware of is the availability of off-peak tariffs and how energy price changes could affect the payback and return for your system. Let me know in the comments section below what your thoughts are on a battery-only solution, and if you've gone for such a solution, how's it working out for you? If you're enthused and want to find out more about our experience with solar and battery storage right from the start in 2015, what I've learned, the mistakes I've made, and what I'd do if we were to start again, you should check out this video over here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.